Leeds United fans can have a little bit of a tendency to lose our heads. We know this. It's been long established fact. We're so used to things going a little bit wrong that it's ingrained in us that something will eventually go wrong again and lead to a complete and colossal downfall that could send us to League One and the darkness for another few years. But that isn't always necessarily the case. Now, admittedly, there have been a few negative bits of transfer news over the last few days, and Leeds fans have responded exactly how you would expect them to do so. But I think having looked through all of these little bits of news, there is reasoning as for why they are as they are, ultimately explanations as to what the strategy is, and Leeds United fans don't need to be completely losing our heads over this. It's worth taking a moment and thinking and having a look at what's actually going on here. So in this video I'm going to talk through some of the major bits of transfer news that seem to have bugged people over the last few days, have a little bit of a dive into them, explain why exactly they are that way, and some of them are good, some of them are bad, that's fine, but ultimately get across an idea that we shouldn't really panic, because that seems to be where we're at the minute, and we should kind of stop that. So, first of all, the obvious one is the sale of Pascal Struijk. When the news first broke, the rough sort of figures being discussed were Pascal Struijk is going to be leaving Leeds United for Brighton for approximately £20 million. As time has gone on, we've learned a little bit more about that deal, where it's not £20 million, it's £15 million with £3 million in add-ons, and the club have announced that it is significantly to do with remaining within the PSR limits. Now, a lot of people didn't necessarily like this, and they've discussed the negotiation of exits at Leeds United as a significant factor. If you have a look at the chase for Shea Charles as one significant example, Leeds are hunting Shea Charles intently. Chasing him down, putting one bid for £20 million was rejected. Second bid, 25, rejected. Another bid, rejected. I believe we've had 3 rejected at this point, which is not great. Shea Charles, 22-year-old midfielder, 1 year left on his contract, and people have, fair enough, compared the Shea Charles situation to Pascal Struijk, and they've gone, well, we only got 18 for Pascal Struijk, and they're looking for 25 to 30 for Shea Charles. What's going on there? There are factors at play, and some of these factors aren't especially sort of looked at. First of those factors being Pascal Struijk wanted to leave. Having had a couple of conversations with various people that understand a little bit about the situation, I've heard some little bits about the fact that Pascal was potentially told that after we rejected the move for his exit last summer, that he could leave this summer, which obviously puts us in a situation where we can't seek a higher bid because, well, you've told him that he can go. And at the same time, if Brighton are the only club that are in for him right now, or he's had conversations with Brighton saying, look, I want to go there, then it gets quite hard to drive that price up, as we did with Rafinha. Rafinha couldn't go for more than £60 million because he only wanted Barcelona, and the only club that wanted him was Barcelona. So you ended up in a position where you couldn't really negotiate for fees. In addition to that, we weren't able to wait and stick it out and try and sort of force that price up, because if he's the one player that has interest in him right now, and in this very moment people are saying, look, Pascal, we will pay a significant amount of cash for you, and that's the only way that we can get money towards the PSR, you've not really got that long to push that value up. And fair enough, people are looking at the fact that he's comparing to Shea Charles and it's not necessarily going great. But Shea Charles also has that sort of additional benefit of he's incredibly young. We don't know where his ceiling is right now. Whereas Pascal Struijk, we know that roughly his ceiling is decent enough Premier League centre-back, which makes things a little bit complicated. For me, Pascal Struijk, yeah, it would have been nice to get a little bit more money out of him, but it doesn't really seem that realistic or feasible, so I'm not too mad about that. Another one that people seem a little bit mad at is, and this tends to be a little bit of a trend that people have noticed, and it was the case this summer already with people pointing out that Julian Brandt will be quite difficult to get. People are saying it with Zion Suzuki. In addition to that, people said it last summer with Igor Paixão, and people said it with Strand Larsen. It's the idea that Leeds United are looking at targets that are a little bit too ambitious for us. And this is where the conversation gets a little bit weird. This is where it changes form into less of a conversation around what are Leeds right now and a conversation about what do Leeds want to be. Because personally, and this is my perspective, I want Leeds United to actively be trying to make those moves, to eye up the best players on the market and go, look, are we able to get you in? If no, whatever, we'll have more targets on the list. However, a lot of fans don't necessarily like this. With Paixão last summer, for example, it took a good while to get a move going, didn't happen, went to Marseille, so we went for Noah Okafor. Which, from the club's perspective, is basically fine. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted Igor Paixão, didn't happen, so they went, okay, well, let's pivot, let's do Okafor instead. And Okafor proved to be quite good for us last season. Strand Larsen was one of those players that at the time was viewed as undervalued, a very good player, but viewed as undervalued. And we were fighting Crystal Palace for him, and at a certain point we went, well, it's probably not worth paying all that much cash. It'll work out. I'm very happy with the club looking at players like that are incredibly ambitious targets and not getting them from time to time, because at some point you're going to get them. And the players that we did get were fantastic anyway. In terms of last season's recruitment, there is no single player there where I'm like, well, that was an absolute disaster. Off the top of my head. Other than Facundo Buonanotte. But that's because I forgot Facundo Buonanotte existed. The main point there is it's not just a case of we're shooting for the stars, and if we miss, we get nothing. It's shoot for the stars, and if we miss, well, there's a list. So you go to number 2. And if number 2 is not there, you go to number 3. And everyone on this list is a player that we are happy with having, because otherwise they wouldn't be on the list. So at the end of the day, we're going to get players in the positions that we need, and they might not be the players that we immediately want. They might not be the shiniest things that have been reported for so long, but they're still there. And this also links into what I think is a little bit of a... And it's completely understandable, because this is a thing that we've done many a time before. The idea that even if we're moments away from signing someone, it can go wrong. Because at the time of recording, about 10:30 on the 1st of July, Harry Wilson has not announced as a Leeds United player. In my opinion, this is fine. Harry Wilson is 99% on the way to Leeds United. Graham Smith has again said today that, well, no, it's fine, he's just not announced yet, and he's not done all the various pressy bits and bobs because he'll still be on his holidays. Which I don't mind. I like players being well rested because they are people and can look after themselves. But people are using this as a sort of jumping on point for a continuation of the conversation around, well, we didn't get Harry Wilson last year because of this kind of thing, because we went too late, and if you go too late, you don't get what you want. And at the same time, we didn't get Bamba Dieng because we went too late, and if you go too late, you don't get what you want. And the same with Gakpo, and the same with Dan James ages ago. And I understand the worry, because as a fan base, we are scarred. As a fan base, we have time and time and time again been disappointed with the fact that we didn't get the player that we felt that we deserved. We didn't get the player that we were chasing for ages. We ended up coming second place in a one-horse race, which is sort of impressive. But realistically, it's not that much of an issue. Realistically, we've got a hell of a long time. Harry Wilson will come back from his holidays and he will rock up at Thorpe Arch and he will set training on fire and he'll look fantastic in the pre-season friendlies. Whoever we sign next, because we've got a long time, we've got 2 months, will sign for Leeds United, will come to training, will take part in some pre-season friendlies, and we'll have conversations around, Jesus, that player looked good. Is he going to displace Gudmundsson? I'm glad we sold Struijk because we've got this guy in now and he's really, really good. Something along those lines. What I want to sort of preach to the Leeds United fans right now is exactly what I said last season at so many different points. That we need to have a little bit of patience. Because we seem to always have this idea that if something isn't done now, and if we're not already completing these moves, then we're going to be in a position where everything goes wrong. And we're not going to get the players that we want. And it's taken a little bit longer than expected, so we're not going to get anybody. That's not going to happen. We have seen so many times from the 49ers that eventually we will get a target in, and we will build a very good squad. From our first season in the Championship, the 49ers have been in charge of squad building, and they smashed it that season, and they smashed it the promotion season, and they smashed it last season. And I have absolutely no reason to believe they won't smash it next season. And whilst you might be in that camp, whilst you might be in the camp of something's going to go wrong because it's Leeds United, it always does, I have seen no evidence under this ownership that it will. So this is just a sort of plea to keep the faith a little bit, because whilst I understand being a bit spooked by what's gone on over the past couple of days, like there's even been mention of Darlow potentially going to Everton, but at the same time we're linked quite heavily with Zion Suzuki, and if we end up signing him, then I'd call that an upgrade, but whatever. Whilst that sort of call of the void is incredibly tempting, let's not give in to it, because the more we do, the less fun we have watching the club that we love. And that club has provided incredible results over the past few seasons, and I reckon they will continue to do so. On the subject of incredible results, Senegal are 2-0 up. So I'm going to watch the end of that game, and then I'm going to go to bed, because I'm not working at a stupid hour tonight, which is a wonderful treat. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, pop a like on it, subscribe, become a channel member, all that fun stuff. I'm going to leave that there. Hope you enjoyed. I will see you later. Toodaloo.